All right, can everybody see this portal here?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
great. So when you first log in, this is what you're going to see from the web browser. So think of this side of Catalyst as the brain, and then your mobile device is your actual data collection device where you'll be doing it when you're in session or out and about. So you'll set up all of your programs, targets, do your graphing, analysis, and reporting will all be done here on this portal, and then your actual in-session data collection is done on the mobile device. And as we previously talked about, it is compatible with Android and iOS, and it sounds like you guys already have that sorted, so you are good to go there. All right, so when you first log in, this will be the view that you will see. It's just our general overview. It's a daily snapshot of the student, and there's just these little widgets that are in here that give you a high-level view of everything that's being worked on. Every user can modify this dashboard to their own liking. You can drag and drop these little guys around. You can remove them. You can add in widgets. So feel free to do whatever you want with this overview page.
Can I ask you something, Tyler? Is there, you know, I obviously don't want the programs changed, you know, without, you know, discussion with myself or my BCBA or, you know, one of my lead people.
Absolutely.
How is it that, you know, we'd have different levels of access, I'm assuming?
That's correct. So I'm assuming you are the administrator. Is that correct?
Right, right.
So you'll be creating all the accounts. So what you will do is under the administration tab here, when it gets pulled up, you can create what are called security groups.
Mm-hmm.
And what that'll do is that'll allow you to limit access rights to various areas of the portal.
Okay.
So for example, you could have like an RBT group that you would create. And then when you create that group, it's going to give you this folder layout, and you can choose what they can and cannot do. So for example, for behaviors, if you want them to be able to create behaviors, you can select that check and they will only be able to create behaviors.
Okay.
So you have full control there. And then when you create a new user, you would just assign them to that security group.
Okay.
Yep. All right, back over here on the student side. So for people that are creating the programs and targets, et cetera, it's really broken up into skills acquisition and behavior reduction. So you'll create, for example, under behavior reduction, all of your behaviors, and then your ABC data, antecedents, consequences, and locations are all done in this tab. And it's just as simple as you would click create new behavior. You'll get a pop-up window here. You'll put in your behavior name. And then we have, I can't type. And then we have 5 different recording types for behavior reduction. So we have frequency, duration, how long it lasts. You can combine those two with rate. And we also have momentary time swing and partial interval. And I will show you what those all look like on the app in a few minutes. Once you save it, it'll appear here. And then when your iPad is connected to Wi-Fi, it'll sync down to the app and you can begin recording data on it. And adding antecedents, consequences, and locations are done the exact same way. And then your graphing for all of your ABC will be found right here. So once you click on this tab, it will pull up a graph momentarily. We have a lot of data in here. And so what you'll see on the left here is you can choose your graph type. So right now we're viewing frequency. We're looking at all behaviors, and you can see they're all in here. But you can obviously single out individual behaviors. If you hold down Command or Control, depending on what you're using, you can select multiple behaviors to view. And then you're also able to switch your graph type here. So we have a lot of different options. And then across the top here, we do have the ability, if you wanted to add, you know, condition lines, goals, anything like that, notes, you can add it right here and it'll add it directly to the graph. And we also have a few technical indicators where you can look at the average, 5-day moving average, and it'll alter your graph accordingly. And these graphs can be printed, they can be saved. You can change the x-axis down here. And then if you needed to view the raw data, you select this option and it'll pull up where you can export that to a CSV if you need to. So any questions there about creating behavior reduction targets?
No.
Pretty
Anybody?
straightforward, right?
Mhm.
Okay, great. Skills acquisition is going to be similar. It's just a little bit of a larger funnel that we have set up here. So it's broken up into skill areas, and then you have your programs, and then within each of your programs is where you will create your target. So to create a skill area, you just hit this little green plus sign. It'll give you this box, and you'll type it in. So for example, if we're working on receptive ID, we would then have our program in there called labeling colors, and then we would create all of our targets that we are wanting your son to work on down here. So blue, red, orange. Creating a target is the exact same way as creating a behavior target. So we would put in our color here. You can put in your SD, goal name for reporting is optional, desired daily trials. And then we have 13 different target types for you to choose from. So discrete trials, echoic, frequency, TA, toileting, etc. Once you create this target, it's going to put it in this ready status. And what that'll allow you to do is then open it up into baseline. That's what this orange X means. So if you click that, it's going to prompt you and say, are you sure you want to baseline this target? Or if you want to open it directly into treatment, you can click open target into treatment, and then it will sync it down to the app, and you can begin collecting data. One of the nice things about Catalyst is that it's going to automatically move you through mastery and maintenance if you are running any maintenance programs. And so when you create every new account, you'll set this up on the student creation, but you can always go back in and modify your parameters here, which I will show you what that looks like for mastery. So under setup mastery criteria, you can see that we have it set at 80% response over 3 consecutive days. You have a few other items here that you can modify. And then once your targets match this threshold, it'll automatically move them into maintenance, which you are able to set up. And you can control the demotion and promotion schedule of your targets that are in maintenance. So targets mastered in treatment, for example, would go into daily maintenance. And then here you can control how it will demote. If it's incorrect 2 out of 3 times, it'll reopen, or you can promote it 3 out of 3 times into weekly, so forth and so on. And Catalyst will automatically move you up and down those levels. Any questions there from the panel?
No, I don't think so. Anybody?
All right, great.
Yeah, we're good.
All right, it's simple, it's simple. That's what I like. Just to show you graphing on your skill acquisition targets. So to view a graph, you can just hover over the name here and it'll have an underline. And once you click on it, it's just going to look like your ABC graphing, but this will be for your individual target. Catalyst will automatically draw in your phase change line. So once it masters in baseline or in target, it'll draw in a phase change line, or as similar to behaviors, you can draw in condition lines accordingly. We have a few different graphs. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just curious. If we're in maintenance and we lose some of the skill, what does that do? Does it tell us that we need to teach more, or do we just determine that ourselves? Or
yeah, so whatever your maintenance criteria is set up as, if it fails, if you have it where it goes into daily maintenance and then it fails and you have it opening back up into treatment, the target will just open back up into treatment. It'll draw a phase change line for you saying maintenance was failed, daily maintenance was failed, and it would start over in that mastery criteria that you set up.
okay,
But you can always manually move targets in and out of wherever you want. That's just how the system will automatically move it up and down for you.
okay.
You can change, so if you wanted to view like time of day scatter plot, you can do that and the graph will change for you. Same thing with like prompt counts, it'll put in a bar graph. So you have a few different graphing options here. Annotations are just like behavior reduction targets. You can run comparisons against other targets within this program if you want. And then we also have some built-in technical indicators as well as chart settings. So if you needed to split data by your therapist or AM, PM, it'll easily convert your graphs for you.
And what about location? I remember reading in there somewhere about being able to look at specific locations, like out in the
Yeah, so that's going to be a part of what's called SOAP notes.
Okay.
You can turn SOAP notes on and off, so just make sure you turn it on, and you can do that under the setup for the student, and then settings right here at the top, use SOAP notes, yes or no.
Yeah.
So as I was saying, when you click this SOAP note at the top, it's going to have your date, your start and end time, your GPS location, and then notes and any custom questions that you put in here. And then you can capture the signature right here from the device. And once you save it, it'll go back into the portal where you can export it to PDF. And then that PDF, so I can actually show you what it looks like, will look like this.
Oh, that's great.
It'll pull in all of your information and everything that was worked on during that session. All right, so back over here to the iPad. On the left side, you'll see you have a few tabs here to help navigate you through the app. On the bottom are where your frequency targets are going to live. They will always be down there no matter what screen you're on, except for the video screen. And your green are going to be your behavior reduction targets, and your brown are going to be your skill acquisition. And they just live here so you can tap them and record as they are occurring. And you just hold it down to scroll left and right.
And are we clicking on those to record that behavior? Is that?
That's correct. So when when you're observing there's head banging, you would just select it for your frequency.
Okay.
Does it record the time?
Now, yes. So for your ABC, it's going to be over here. When you click this behaviors tab, right here on the left, here's where you get into your ABC. So you can see it has the date time of that individual behavior. You can choose a duration, that's optional. Severity, response, and group size are also optional. And then right here, you can select whatever target. You can choose your antecedent, consequence, location. We have an area for anecdotal notes if you choose to add them. And then you would just click save at the top. But all of your raw data in the portal will have a timestamp next to it.
And
Back over, yeah, go ahead.
We'll save it, which will save it on the device, and then as soon as we get to Allison's point, to get to Wi-Fi, it will automatically send it to the portal.
That's correct. So if you happen to be disconnected from Wi-Fi, when you're back here on this pin screen, once it goes back here, you're going to see how it says unsynced data, 2 items. That's how you know there's two unsynced data points that are still on the device that are waiting to get uploaded to the portal, which takes about 60 seconds.
Okay.
So that way, once that says 0, everything is off the device. So back over here underneath this behaviors tab, I want to show you just the different target types. You can access them down here on this bottom menu. So for duration, you can run all of these timers simultaneously. You can close this window down and they will continue to run. You can actually close the entire app and that timer will run until you tell it to stop. Rate. Once you start this, it's actually going to drop these targets down into your frequency bar here at the bottom. So we're looking for mans per session so that you can close that window and still record. And if you happen to accidentally, on your frequency, if you hit it one extra time, if you meant to do head banging only 15, if you go into this frequency tab and click decrement, you can just remove one of those items. Because sometimes I get fat fingers and that happens. Partial interval, you can set your observe and record length. So very straightforward there. And then momentary time sampling, we have it set to 7 seconds. You can actually change that right here in the app if you want. And once you click start, you can close out of that window. And then at the end of that 7-second mark, it will prompt you with the screen so that you can record. And you just want to make sure that you go back in and stop that timer because it'll keep running.
Yeah, that seems like something you'll have to really get used to, because it is running in the background all the time, and you have to stop these when it's
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. It's just kind of getting in there and getting used to, okay, I remember this one continues to run, and you eventually it becomes secondhand nature, just to, got to go back in.
Right.
So all of your skill acquisition targets are going to live underneath this big red discrete trials button. So once you open that up, here is how you can choose your programs that you want to run during this session. So you can choose all of them, or you can choose individual ones that you want to run during today's session. And then once you click start, it is going to have all of your targets are presented here on the left. You can drag up and down on this screen. You can select these targets individually, but Catalyst is meant to continually move you through and all of your targets and present new targets to you. So once we're working on this one, you can see we have the SD here at the top. We know what target in the program that we're working on. Once we choose our prompt, Catalyst is going to just give us another target to work on right here. But you don't have to do that. You can always go over here to the left and say, I want to work on alligator, so you can select it and continually run that target as much as you want. You'll see some of these bars are green, some of them are red. That's just based off of the desired daily trial count that you set up when you create a new target. That's one of the options. So all of these are set to 5. And so once you run let me find one here. Once you run a target, it's going to slowly fill up green so that you know you're hitting that trial count for the day. And then once it's fully green, you know that you've hit your threshold. And of course, you can continually take data. It doesn't matter. It's more so of, we know we want to run it 5 times. So once it's fully green, we know we've run it 5 times, but you could run it 100 times if you want. What you're looking at here, this is a discrete trial target. You can customize these prompt codes. These are just what are built into Catalyst, but you are more than welcome to change them and add your own in. And then I'll show you a few other ones here. So if you do work on any echoics, you can actually record the audio right here on the device. And once you save this target, you can listen back to it in the raw data in the portal. And then you just adjust these on an NA to a 1. Task analysis is going to look like this. And so I was messing with this one earlier, so actually I've already recorded data. But once you select whether or not they recorded that step independently, if they did not, it'll prompt you to choose what prompt code was used to get them to perform that step.
Yeah.
And again, those can be customized as well. Any questions there on skill acquisition targets?
You know, I had a question about toileting.
Yeah.
I thought I had read or in some of your material that with the professional version there was a toileting, portion, and it had a lot of the data that we like to keep in terms of incontinence and things. But I couldn't. When I did a chat with your colleagues, they said I had to set it up as skill acquisition. But this is something that's actually on there, right? Or
yeah, so I actually pulled it up right here. So
okay.
You do have to create it underneath a skill acquisition target. That's just where that target type lives. And then you can see that you can choose your sit duration. You can record whether or not there was a void, and then choose the prompt code. So we do have a specific toilet training target type. Yes. But
I would need to set all these things up that I'm measuring, right? Or
that's correct.
No. Okay.
Yeah. You will have to create all of your targets.
Okay.
So when you create a new student in your program or in your account, it's going to be a completely clean slate.
Okay. And there's no drop downs or anything to pull up on any of these, or you just have to type all those in there? Or?
Yeah, I mean, there is. I'll show you one small semi-shortcut. We do have a community library that has about 250,000 targets in it that other customers have shared with the community.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go into setup and curricula here, you can actually, down here at the bottom, this number is wrong. It should have a 0 in front of it, but you can choose existing targets and goals that other people have created. So we have a search function in there where you can search for a specific target type. And if you find it, you can import it into this account, and then you can always modify it once you import it.
Oh, that will save time. Yeah, good.
Yeah. Just though, because that library is so large, it sometimes can take a little bit of time to load because it's trying to pull in, 240,000 targets. Let's jump over to analysis and reporting real quick so that you can see what we have here. So we do have some built-in reports. So as you can see, we have this cumulative report. So if you wanted to look at recently mastered targets, for example, you can run this report and it's going to spit out everything that has been mastered with the date that it was opened, how many trials were run to master it, and you can export this to an Excel or a PDF. And we have a bunch of other reports built in here, so feel free to take a look around and see what you can and cannot run. But the really neat thing with Catalyst is these progress notes. And so what this is more of a date range report. So when you click this little green plus sign here, it's going to have you choose a start date and an end date of what you want to pull from. Once you do that, it's going to spit out this report that will have all of the demographics, a program summary, any targets mastered during that period, and then it will automatically pull in all of the targets in the graphs that are associated with those dates that were run, and they'll all be automatically pulled in here. This is like a Word document, so you can go in and edit it however you want. You can customize this template to your liking so that it runs the same data every time. But this has been what we've found a huge time saver for a lot of individuals. So that's kind of like the 30,000 foot view of Catalyst. What other questions can I answer for you that I was not able to address?
Well, I'm curious about what the support looks like ongoing. I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
This has been a good overview, and I'm sure, but we'll run into some things that we'll need some support on.
Yeah, so anytime you're logged in, one nice feature at the bottom here, you see this little chat with us, as you did. You can chat with a live person Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern. And then we do have somebody monitoring it over the weekend. So it'll submit a ticket, but you should receive a response within an hour. So that chat is available for you in trial as well as when you become a customer. And then when you actually become a paying customer, we offer free unlimited trainings with more experts than I am in this program, and they can really get into a lot of the nitty-gritty with you. And those can run anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half, where they'll really sit down with you and walk you through that, and you can have unlimited free trainings. There is no limit there. It's our job to make sure that you're comfortable.
That's terrific. Guys, do you have any questions for Tyler?
I do. So it looks like it's pretty user-friendly. Like when you're tracking data is pretty easy. Now the challenge seems to be just setting up what you want to track, what you want to look for. Correct? Like it's more of a challenge to set it up, but to use it seems pretty easy.
Yeah, so the first time, when you create a new student here, it may take a little bit of time to, get all of your targets in here. But once they're in there, they're in there. And then if you ever add more students to your account, we do have a feature called curriculum libraries, which let me show you over here. So this is another way to get your targets in. So you can create a new library. Yeah, and then one other thing with that, is when you do create targets in here, so let's say if we're working in here and we know we want to reuse blue at some point, if you go to this actions menu, you can add it to one of the libraries that you created.
Mm.
And then that way you don't have to keep recreating targets over and over again.
That's good. Yeah.
Thank you. Again, Cindy, if you ever have any questions or anybody else, feel free to email me or call me or use the live chat, and I will do my best to get back to you right away.
Okay. Thanks again.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye-bye.